Well, welcome to our late night movie, The Black Cat, a strange little movie made back in 1934. Now, there may be any number of reasons why you're sitting up watching this movie late on Sunday night when you've got to go to work on Monday. It's a horror film for a start, in spite of the fact that real-life horror is no fun at all, movies of this type can be fun to watch. The Black Cat pits two of the best-known names associated with horror films against one another, Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi, for the first time. It's another reason why you may be watching, or you may be just an insomniac, or fond of pussycats, or even Edgar Allan Poe, although there's not much of his influence in the film except the title. But one or two may be watching tonight because it is an Edgar G. Ulmer film. He's the director of this particular movie, and it's to them that I'd like to particularly say welcome. There are those I know who think Ulmer is an unsung, underappreciated director of low-budget features. There are those who think he's merely fascinatingly incompetent. There are those who have heard of him but perhaps never seen this film, which is possibly his most famous, and they're anxious to see it for themselves. Let me tell you just a little bit about Ulmer. He was born in Vienna in 1904, he died in 1972, and he started his filmmaking with such prestigious names, although they weren't prestigious then, as Robert Siodmak, Billy Wilder and Fred Zimmerman, on a famous pseudo-documentary called in English People on Sunday. But he began movie making in the States in 1933 with Damaged Lives, a film about syphilis, which to say the least was an offbeat and controversial subject in those days. And his second film was The Black Cat, which Robert Moss in his book on Karloff calls feeble and describes Ulmer as a director who managed to remain unswervingly mediocre through 30 years of filmmaking. But in John Belton's book on Ulmer, the director is described as one of the great B-feature filmmakers, one of the era's bleakest artists and one of film noir's blackest visionaries. Well, generally in the best Ulmer films, if you can use that word, his innocents are caught up in a decadent and bizarre world on the brink of destruction. And the newlyweds in The Black Cat are like the innocents in the Rocky Horror Show, soon finding out that they're merely uncomprehending lookers-on at a struggle to the death between two very sinister characters indeed. It's a film about, amongst other things, Satanism, sadism, and necrophilia, so no wonder it got into trouble with the censors of the day. It's a weird, impossible tale, certainly weird enough, however, to warrant a look. It may possibly raise a laugh more than a goosebump or even an eyebrow these days, but it does have that bizarre quality which has made it remembered for so many years. Most of Ulmer's films like Cossacks in Exile, Girls in Chains, Club Havana, Jive Junction, have been forgotten, and rightfully so. But there's something about this film that 53 years after it was first released still makes it worth watching. See what you think about The Black Cat.